Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Another week, going strong. It's crazy how fast even 2022 now is going, because it feels like it was just yesterday. It was New Year's Day, and now we're almost halfway through January, which was insane. But I guess this is what happens when you get older. Before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf balls. The number one ball in golf for many, many, many years. The new Pro V1, both balls totally brand new last year, with basically new, softer urethane covers, faster casing layers for more speed and lower long game spin, reformulated cores for more distance. If you're looking for something that flies a little flatter, has a little softer feel, really low spin off the driver, Pro V1, something that flies a little higher, a little firmer feel, but still has some pretty low spin off the driver, Pro V1X. Both balls, like I said, the number one ball in golf for a long, long time. If you go to Titleist.com, check out more with the Pro V1, Pro V1X, but these things are, they kind of speak for themselves in terms of their performance. So I've been playing, I've played both. I've been playing the Pro V1 more lately, which is interesting just because I don't hit it super high, but it's just been a ball that I've performed really well with. So the X I played for a long time as well, just 'cause I needed a little more height on the old tee shots. But it's another week down. We're still we're kind of in launch season, but this week is kind of the lull in between. So we did TaylorMade Callaway last week. I had the big reveals of the Rogue ST and the Stealth. So those are out there in the open now. Hopefully people have seen them. Maybe even your shop has maybe started getting them in. Maybe you've had a chance to hit them so far. That'll be interesting to see what people are liking, not liking, or what's working for their game and not. Talked about the Stealth last week, just because I was fortunate enough to be out the Kingdom to hit it. And this week I'm going to talk a little bit about Rogue ST. I don't have everything. Unfortunately, we got we got the drivers in, and then we put them in. They get locked away in the office when we're not there at night and everything like that. Just so nothing happens to them. We do share an office building with other people, and unfortunately, my coworker who has the key to the office unfortunately was feeling under the weather, so a lot of stuff was locked away. And I didn't get to take it last weekend. Not even thinking about it, but I did go to the range. I had one of the Rogue ST Triple Diamond LS, and then also had the two of the Fairway Woods as well. So we'll talk about those, and then a couple other things I hit at the range. But like I said, I was at the range. If you follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, you could see that I was at the range. I think I posted it on my stories. It was like 30 degrees out, and it was cold, and I was out there just hitting balls, and it was, to be honest, probably one of the worst range sessions I've ever had. There was just like nothing right. Like I got there, couldn't feel like. I mean, I go to the range in Royal Oak, Michigan. If you're familiar with Southeast Michigan, there's a range in Royal Oak at like 13 Woodward. It's it's like a mile away from where I grew up. I worked at a shop that had some space there at one point, so I've spent a ton of plays at this range, or a ton of time at this range, and it's just, I went there in the morning, like they opened at 9, I was there at 9, there's a handful of crazies who were all there, unloading their stuff in the parking lot. We all walk in, and everything was good, and then it was like, I got my heater going, got my bay, all that, ready to go, and then it was just, couldn't get loose, just never felt good. And then also I left it, like I somehow, in the golf bag I brought, my big staff bag, I somehow, I guess, removed the wrench out of there, so I didn't have a wrench to switch shafts, which I brought some other shafts. It was one of those things where nothing was going right. Swing was terrible. Everything was just, it was a typical driving range swing. I was just, I guess, trying to hit everything super hard. I was just getting over the top, steep, and just smothering everything. I mean, I think I looked in the face pattern on every club I hit, and everything was just high toe, just over the top. It was just really a bad day. I enjoyed being on the range. It was still nice to go hit some balls and see some ball flight, but these will be kind of an initial thoughts, and I'll tell you how things play on a bad day, because it was just not a good day. But I had the full swing launch monitor out there, and was hitting some balls, so it was still good. But I was so bummed that forgot a wrench. I sit there and hitting one thing. I was like, oh, let's try this other shaft, and nope, it was not going to happen. And I wasn't. I was further enough in my bucket of balls where I wasn't going to go like ask the guy a couple bays down if he had a wrench or something like that. I mean, I know people probably do, but just wasn't going to do that. So I was out there hitting balls, and like I said, usually I get warmed up pretty quick out there, even with the heaters there pretty good, and as long as the wind's not blowing straight at you, you're fine. And it really wasn't. It was kind of blowing. If I was standing hitting, it was kind of blowing at, like kind of from our back, so you felt a little bit of it on your back, but it wasn't horrible. But for whatever reason, I started out just hitting some wedge shots, and actually hitting some just kind of smooth little wedge shots. Things felt good, and then the further I went in the bag, the just worse it got. Excuse me. So it was a rough day, but I did take out the new Callaway Rogue ST Triple Diamond LS, which this could be one of the longest names in golf in terms of a driver. It's definitely hard to say. I know I've been chatting with my buddies on like through text message and stuff like that, and it's just really you can just write stealth. It's tough because you're like Rogue. And it's like, well, which one? Because there's 4 of them this year. Well, there's 4 of them for retail. We don't know if they're going to release anything later on. Like this is the Triple Diamond head. It comes out now. Where I know last year, I think the Triple Diamonds were a little later on in the release cycle. So they're making 4 models. And I'm not going to call it the Rogue ST. We're just going to call it the Rogue, because honestly, I'm not going to try to sit there and put all that in there every time. But they're making 4 models now. So they're making the Rogue the Rogue, the Max D, which is kind of the most forgiving, has the most draw to it, and then they move on to the ST Max, which again, super forgiving, a little bit of draw to it, but a little more neutral, and then you'll basically go through the Rogue, the Max LS, which is the low spinning, neutral driver with still a high amount of forgiveness, and then you move into the Triple Diamond LS, which is the lowest spinning, lowest launching, and I guess the least forgiving model in the lineup. Now again, we'll see a few more different, diamonds and things like that on tour. Will they come to retail? We'll just have to kind of wait and see. I know last year they brought out a couple of them for retail, but not all of them. I know there were many tour heads, and like I said, a few of them came to retail, but not all. And but this one we're getting a Triple Diamond right out of the gate. So right at the launch of it, we're getting a Triple Diamond, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I mean the Rogue ST, I think it's I thought the Epic stuff from last year looked really good. I think the Rogue actually looks better. I mean, I really like the matte crown. You can still see the carbon fiber through the crown there, through the paint, and it's just the matte look is pretty cool. I know some people always complain about graphics on the head, whatever type of paint. It's just a kind of a gold or, goldish line with a couple ticks and, the chevron alignment marker. So nothing, I don't think, too crazy. It's, I think it looks really good. The stuff that is there, you don't really notice. As soon as you start hitting balls and all that, it doesn't really, make a difference. You don't really notice it. On the bottom, you kind of get that same all black and kind of gold. Sorry, my finger's kind of in the way. I'm just holding the screw in place so it doesn't make a ton of noise. And yeah, you get kind of that gold accents, but for the most part, it's just a black head, or kind of like that PVD kind of goldish or PVD black or dark gray that the face and stuff is. So overall, just a really good looking head. I mean, it's pretty classic. It's not something that's super flashy, crazy colors, anything like that. But overall, I think the look is really good. The head shape is solid. It's a little stretched from front to back, or from face to back. It's a hair stretched out, but nothing too crazy. I think anybody who's like crazy purist, might have a little, I wouldn't say issue, but might say it's not as traditional as they'd like. Personally, I think it looks totally fine. The Triple Diamond LS sets up pretty much dead square, at least in this 10.5 head that I had. Pretty much sets up dead square in the neutral position. it's like I said, overall looks really good, and it's got a pretty deep face on it as well. So I know there's a lot of players out there who kind of like a deep face in their driver. This thing's definitely a fairly deep face. I want to say that the the Max LS has even a deeper face potentially, but this one's still pretty deep. It's not crazy shallow or anything like that. But overall, just package wise, looks really good. And like I said, the face there, which is the new Flash Face S22, which is just a refinement from their AI face from last year. A little bit of kind of like laser etched, kind of scoring looking lines. Nothing there is actually a scoring line, but just kind of laser etched on there. But overall, package looks pretty good, and I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of the color scheme there. Now the screw is there it goes. I was about to say stuck on the washer. The screw there is not Callaway's fault. That is definitely mine, as is I've put my club connects into it, so I could definitely put whatever shaft I wanted in there. And I do have to say the one thing that I'm starting to, with club connects especially, I want to try all fit in here, just because club connects, club connects just, for whatever reason, Callaway heads, it just makes them look shut. And I put it in there, and that was another problem with hitting balls the other day. I put a Ventus Red to start in this head and put it in the neutral position for club connects, and when I got it to the course and pulled the head cover off and set it down, I was like, wow, this is easily a degree shut, if not a little more, and it's in the neutral playing position. When the Callaway adapter is in there, looks perfectly square. It really does. So club connects does something to this head where it moves it and makes it look shut, where if you're using a standard Callaway adapter, definitely has a really neutral look to it. So like I said, club connects yet again. They're kind of pushing me towards all fit. It's just going to take me a little time to get that conversion done. But overall, like I said, love the look of the Triple Diamond LS. I think it's a really good looking driver. Out on the course or on the range, it performs really well. Like I said, I swung absolutely terrible. Everything was, you can't see it on YouTube, but if you could look and see the face, everything is barely centered, but up near the high toe, and I was just, like I said, coming down on top of everything, and it was me. It was for whatever reason me. But on a bad day, I tell you what, a lot of shots that I hit stayed in play. They didn't go very far because I was so far away from the face. And they actually, some of them went a lot farther than I thought they would. But either way, they stayed in play. There were very few balls that I hit offline that I would have been like, wow, that would be trouble. So it is a very forgiving head for what it is. It definitely is low spin. Like I said, my angle of attack was definitely steep. I was kind of flipping through my full swing session that I had there. And on some of the, let's just call it not optimal shots, my attack angle was basically -2, -3. I mean, really hitting down on the ball, and it just wasn't anything that was very good. My smash factor was pretty bad. I mean, for how far out I was hitting it on the toe, my smash was up at I just pulled up one shot that was probably one of the worst, and somehow that smash factor was still 143, and that ball was probably easily an inch away from the center of the face. And if you're that far away and still carrying a 140 or 143, I think that's actually not too bad. I mean, honestly, and like I said, the ball stayed on line really well. Some of those shots, like I said, that shot there, it still had a decent ball speed of like 145. And for the way I was hitting it, it stayed on line really well. And the spin rate was actually pretty low. It was like 2300, which was crazy. I mean, like I said, as poorly as I hit it, I never saw spin above 2700. I was hitting kind of down on the ball like crazy, which usually if you're hitting down on the ball that poorly and you're hitting it high on the toe, I mean, you're going to see some higher spin numbers. I mean, higher in the face, you see that lowers the spin a little bit usually. But I mean, like I said, I never saw a spin rate go above 2700. On some good shots, I saw stuff that was all pretty much around 2000 to 2200, which was, for me, really low. I don't really strive for anything crazy low spin, but Typically, I'm around that 2400 area when I'm hitting the ball well, at least with previous drivers. This year when I hit it well, like I said, I was between 2000 and 2200. And like I said, the worst shot I saw in here, I think, was just over 2,700. It was like 2,750 or something like that. And that was, I mean, smacked off the toe, down on top of it. Just a terrible swing. And to keep it under 3,000 and to really keep it in play was pretty shocking to me. Like I said, I hit the ball just, I mean, insanely poor. And it was still, just all, I mean, like I said, I hit it really, really well and kept everything for the most part pretty much in play. Sound and feel are really good. I think the sound is definitely metallic. It's got that titanium feel, but it is muted. It's got, kind of a metallic-y ting when it leaves the face, but it's really muted. It's very solid. It's definitely not hollow feeling at all. I think the sound and feel, they've really dialed in and are pretty pleasing. I don't think anybody's going to complain about it. I don't see where... I'm trying to think about last year to this year. I think this year's definitely has a little more, to me, more responsive feel. I think you get a little better sense of where you hit it on the face compared to last year. Sound, I think, is maybe a little more muted with this, while, like I said, still being metallic. Even mishits still actually have a pretty good sound to them. I only hit a couple in the center, so I can tell you that there you definitely can feel the ball compress and jump off the face. But the sound and feel are really, really good. And I think, like I said, I haven't hit the rest of the line yet, but if they're, close to this, I think, the whole line is going to sound and feel really good. So no matter which driver head you fit into best, you should be pleased with the sound and feel of it. Like I said, overall, the biggest thing I took away was just how forgiving. For being the least forgiving head and the lowest launching, lowest spinning, it was definitely something that I could play. I mean, like I said, I don't think I could swing much worse than I did. And out of the, I don't know how many shots I hit with it, there were only a handful that went so far left or so far right that they would have been dead on, the courses I play. And that really was shocking to me. I really thought, well, the way I was hitting it, that I'd see some balls that really kind of moved, right to left dispersion would be huge, and they really weren't. I thought, those shots, especially hit off the toe, didn't have a ton of draw to them. I mean, this head is definitely neutral. Everything, when you hit it decent, it wanted to go straight. It was no worry about overturning it. And like I said, even me kind of smothering it and hitting it left, I was hitting it kind of left to target, but nothing was really curving hard left or hitting big old hooks or big old draws that were kind of uncontrollable. Everything kind of stayed on line. And while it was left to target, it wasn't hooking left to target while going left. I mean, it was just... everything kind of stayed in play, and they kind of stayed in that range. If you kind of envision a fairway when you're hitting balls out on the range, they all were probably, if they didn't make it to the fairway, they were in the rough, but not by a ton. And I was really shocked by that. Ball speed was really good. I think, like I said, the mishits where I was hitting it, which was nowhere near center, to hold smash factors still in the, the 143s, 144, stuff like that is pretty exceptional. I mean, to be as far out as I was from the center, I was really impressed with the ball speed and how low the spin stayed. I thought for sure the way I swung it, going back and looking, the ball speed would be way lower. I was like, I'll probably be lucky to be, even in mid to 140s or high 140. I thought anything in with a 1.4 to start would be good, and to see things 143, 45, 46, all those on shots that were just hit, like I said, probably an inch away from center is really impressive. And to see that the spin stayed low, you didn't get these shots that just jumped in the air and fluttered up and fell. I was really impressed with that. I thought it was like I said, really stable, and it had a ton of control for a driver that's supposed to be the player's driver that they released, which is pretty cool. I'm trying to go through here. Just it's tough to sweep through stats when you're talking on the fly as well. But launch was actually was pretty good. It launched a little higher than I thought. I think part of that too is because the vent is red. But launch angles for me were all around 11 and 12. I think one or two were really high in the face that got up in the 13s. But I think this thing is Callaway describes it, a mid-launch driver. And like I said, the bad shots for me were definitely launching, mid to high 12s, even into 13, where good shots were probably closer to that 11 and a half degrees when I hit it decent. And I think for me, even with a Ventus Red, I mean, you put a little lower launching shaft in there. I think this thing's a true mid-launching driver. Like I said, spin was definitely low, even on mishits. Nothing ever got up in the air and balloon. The wind was, like I said, blowing kind of left to right, and nothing seemed like, I mean, the ball just kind of wanted to go straight. If anything, at the very end, it would kind of fall to the right as the wind pushed it. But overall, hitting shots there, I thought launch was kind of around that mid, even with a kind of a mid-high launching shaft to keep things kind of around that 11 to 13 range for as high in the face as I was hitting it is pretty impressive. I think it goes to show you that, this driver here, even if you're a player who, because there's a lot of players out there that you're not a single-digit handicap. You're a little higher handicap player, but you're athletic, you're strong, you carry a lot of club head speed, and maybe you do create a lot of spin because of that club head speed, and maybe the mechanics aren't perfect yet, so you create a lot of spin. And this thing here, and a lot of those drivers that handle that are built for that, just aren't forgiving. I mean, if you don't hit at the center, the ball tends to go pretty high offline. I think this is going to be one of those drivers that a player who's not necessarily a single digit, but again, carries a lot of club head speed, creates a lot of spin, but still needs help. I think you're going to be able to try this driver and maybe find some success with it, because, like I said, you can't, I swung it as bad as I possibly could, and I was amazed at how well it stayed in the fairway. But I think it is a true mid-launch. Like I said, I would have loved to try with a different shaft. I really wanted to. I just didn't have a wrench. So, like I said, this was all done with Ventus Red, the Ventus Red 6X. And again, that's kind of a mid-high launch shaft for me. And I think putting in something even more mid-launch would get that driver launched down into the 11s, maybe 12s at the most, but you might even touch the 10s. And then again, if you go to something even lower, I was going to put in the Tensei 1K, but I'd never wrench, and I wanted to do that. And I also wanted to actually lower the loft a little bit just to see if it would open the face and just look better for me. But again, I wasn't able to do that. But overall, I think the Triple Diamond LS is, like I said, a much more forgiving head than I thought. I think it's really good. I think it's one of those heads that I definitely want to take out and hit more. It's probably a Callaway head. It's probably the best Callaway driver I've hit since the original Epic, because I never had success with it. After the main Epic, I just never really had a ton of success with Callaway drivers. I'd hit them okay. When I hit them in the center and they went and I put a good swing on it, I found some great drives. They were really long. And they were great. It was just I never found that consistency. And I think if the Triple Diamond LS is this easy, this forgiving and this easy to hit, and on a day like this where I just swung it so poorly, and I would have been in play for most of my round if I was actually out playing, I think that gives, one, I'm pretty impressed with that, and then two, I'm excited to see what like the Max LS does. That has even a little higher forgiveness to it, and for me even that little added spin isn't going to kill me, because if I'm in the 24 to 2500 range, with my ball speed on a good day being in the 150s and launching it kind of flat, adding a little spin doesn't kill me. So I'm pretty excited to try the Max LS and even the Max probably to try those two and see how they play. But like I said, I'm pretty excited. This is the first Callaway driver in probably that's 4 generations that I've had a bad day and had success with. So I'm pretty impressed with it. But overall, I'm really impressed with the Triple Diamond. I think it's really good. I think it's like I said, much more forgiving than it looks, while still being a driver that better players are going to have. Low spin, mid launch, and I think they're still going to be able to work the ball a little bit. I don't think it's quite as workable as maybe some other drivers they've had. I think this thing's still going to stay pretty straight. When you hit a draw, when you hit a fade, they're going to be there, but they're not going to be huge fades, huge draws, unless you're really exaggerating your swing. But overall, I think it's a driver that, one, I definitely want to hit more. 2, it makes me really want to hit the Max LS. And 3, I really want to get it on the course. So all 3 of those things are things that I'm excited for. But the Rogue ST, they said to me, it's probably one of the best drivers that Callaway's made in the past few years for me. I know a lot of people have had a ton of success with last year's Epic stuff and the drivers before that. I just, like I said, for me it was all consistency thing. It was when I hit it in the center, it went forever, but I just couldn't always keep it in the fairway. And I think this line, I may be able to do that. The way they've designed these with more weight in the back and all that, they're good. And like I said, the ball speed on mishits is really solid. I mean, if you just miss the face, the ball speed's really good. If you miss it, like I said, for me, like an inch up towards the toe, and you're still holding, pretty decent smash factor and ball speed, that's just super impressive. So I'm excited for it. I want to hit more with this driver. I want to hit a couple other shafts, all that, and like I said, I might try going the all fit route to see if that helps with the face angle thing, because like I said, the Club Connects, when I put it in there, and that might have been part of it too, is just it looked a degree to two, probably degree and a half to 2 degrees shut, and when the standard Callaway adapter's in there, it was dead square. So I may try to switch it over to all fit and see how that works. But overall, the Rogue ST Triple Diamond LS, super impressed with it so far, and it will be definitely something I want to try out on the course, as well as, like I said, trying the Max LS just to see if that added forgiveness, I could even get away with some even worse shots. But overall, like I said, I think I'm really good. I hit that thing well, or as well as, or better than I thought. Let's put it that way. And then I also had out there the Rogue ST LS 3-wood, which the LS 3-wood, I had the LS 3-wood and the Max 3-wood out on the range as well. The LS is the low spin, higher, I guess if you want to call it the players, the players 3-wood, but it really has a more compact shape, or really a traditional shape to it, a little deeper face, and overall looks really good. I mean, when you set it down, it looks even slightly open. And this one here, again, I was actually really impressed off the turf. Again, if you're looking at my ball marks, everything kind of high in the face, little out towards the toe. Never hit anything really, really, really dead center. I think the first ball I hit was pretty much dead center, and then after that, it was a little bit of a struggle to find the center after that. But this one here, they're not making 4, they're making 3 different heads. So you're going to have the Max D, which is going to be ultra forgiving, ultra high launching with a draw to it. Then you're going to have the ST Max, which is very forgiving, little less draw, little more mid ball flight. And then you're going to have the LS, which is going to be the lowest spinning, lowest launching, and neutral ball flight, fairway out of the 3. I didn't take the Max D out just because, one, I didn't have it, or I did have it, but it had like a regular flex shaft in it, and I hit it left anyway, so I didn't take that one out. But I did take out the Max and the LS just to kind of compare the two, and really, they're, in terms of forgiveness, I'll say they're not that far apart. The Max, definitely you can get away. I mean, hitting it further on the toe, further on the heel, you definitely could get away with a little more with that. But the LS really was much more forgiving than I thought, because I hit the Flash stuff last year, but the year before that, which I'm trying to remember what it was before that, the Maverick, I played the Sub-Zero and the Standard, and the Sub-Zero was great for me, but it got off line really easy, and I just felt like I never hit it that great. I hit some good shots with it, but it was always kind of like, it wasn't super stable, and again, I just never kept it in play as much as I like. Both of these, I thought, really stayed in play, and they were really easy to hit. I think this whole Rogue ST line, as much as there's a player's version and an average kind of average Joe type player's version, both of them are really forgiving. So the Max definitely launches higher. I probably hit the best shot of the day with that club. I think the first ball I hit, I basically carried it like 236. I mean, in weather that was like 30 degrees, and had under 3,000 spin. I think the smash factor was 145. I mean, it was just a really good shot. I mean, I launched it around 10 and a half or 11 degrees. It was like 10.9, but I hit it really well there. There was like the first shot, and just smoked it, and it was just a nice easy swing. Like I said, the rest of the shots I hit just hit absolute garbage. and still would get the ball up. I mean, the max still launched. Looking at just a few of these here going through, and launching is a 12, 13, even one it's 14. Now, granted, I was hitting these things high off the face, so that doesn't really give you a ton. I mean, I hit a couple thin that had a launch angle at 6 as well. But I mean, the smash factor on a lot of these shots, which were not hit well, 145 with ball speeds in like the 139s, and the ball speed 138.9, 130. The ball speed just didn't. I mean, a smash factor of 150 and a ball speed of 141. I mean, that's just for a 3-wood shot that I hit. I don't even think I hit that anything. I hit it close to center. I just kind of de-lofted it and didn't launch it very high. I launched it at like 8 degrees. But like I said, everything, as I go through here, just the ball speed and the smash factor for a 3-wood. I mean, 140, and I hit it terrible. I mean, but 134 ball speed, and the spins in kind of the low to mid 3000s. I mean, it was, for not hitting it well, the ST and having spin right around 3000. But the launch was, like I said, 11s, 12s, 13. I mean, it was easy to get off the deck. Spin isn't crazy out of control with it. And, sorry, again, kind of distracted as I go through this. But you have all these shots that you really, that were hit so poorly, and they're all in play. Like when I look at the dispersion of it, everything for the most part is in play. It's all vertical or distance differences. You're looking at shots that went 230, like I said, the one that went 236 down to shots that went to 208. But again, they're all shots that basically stayed in play. There's very little side to side, right to left miss on it, which is really good. And even the max, actually, when you set it down, looks square. It isn't shut. Excuse me. But overall, like I said, I was really impressed with again the ball speed that these things hold. I mean, Callaway's. I think that what'll be big this year is seeing that the shots you don't hit dead center, how far they're going to go and how straight they're going to go, because that's the thing that kind of impressed me the most with the max, was just how easy it was to hit, how long it was when you did hit it well, and the sound and feel on both these actually has a little higher pitch metallic sound to it, a little more ting to it than the drivers, just because these things they're stainless steel faces, they tend to be a little more a little louder, but they're not loud. I mean, they have a little ting to them, which is I think what people really want out of their 3-wood or kind of expecting. And the feel of it is really good. It's like I said, if you hit it dead center, definitely feel the ball compressed, jump off the face. When you miss it, toe or heel, you're definitely going to notice it. You're going to feel a difference there. But shots hit, like I said, even if like for me, like getting steep, getting over the top, trying to hit down on the ball, which whatever I was doing, would still produce shots that you can play. I mean, there's still shots that they launched at sure 8 degrees, but the ball speed was good enough where you're still going to get some distance out of it. So it's, but the max was, like I said, a little easier to hit, definitely stayed on line a little better. Spin was in kind of that 3000s range, where if you go down to the LS, you're looking at still smash factors of 140s, launch angles more around kind of 10-ish. I mean, I got one really high in the face, it went 13. But even the LS, 28.59. I hit it high in the face, 28.59. I'm just kind of going to 2,900 with a smash rate of 140. I launched it a little higher there at 13. But, yeah, I mean, everything there, for the most part, 24.97. Launched it at 10.4. So, the 2,900, 2,500. 2,900 and this one just touched over 3,000, which my attack angle was -4. So yes, you can get it over 3,000, but I mean the LS, looking at it definitely launched a little flatter, definitely lower spinning. It's still forgiving though. I mean, you still, like I said, most of the shots when you look at that thing were hitting it kind of high, slightly off to the toe, and still your spin is for the most part under the one shot was under 3,000. As I scrolled through the first 6 shots or whatever, under 3,000. There was one ball that was over, and again, the attack angle was -4, so it's hitting it like a wedge. And it still kept the ball, the spin down. Like I said, launch, they label it as kind of low on Callaway's site, and I think they're just comparing it to the other 2 models. I think it's kind of a mid launching 3-wood. I think it was still easy to elevate if you're somebody who has problems getting the 3-wood off the turf. I think the LS still is easy to get up and launch it. But it does fly definitely flatter, has a more penetrating ball flight than the Max. The Max, like I said, the best shot I hit, which I hit, carried at 236, didn't have a ton of roll. The descent angle was pretty steep. This thing here is always going to have a little flatter descent angle, at least for me. For a player who hits a much higher ball and has a lot of spin, I think the LS will be a much better option. I like the deeper face on the LS as well. I think hitting off the tee, for me at least, I love having that little extra face to hit it off the tee, knowing that I can kind of miss it a little low still and get away with it. But I think the launch on the LS was definitely visually lower than the Max. And again, I don't think it's a crazy thing, but it definitely is noticeable. And I think this thing isn't going to be the crazy lowest launching 3-wood out there in the world right now, but I think it is definitely going to be something where a high ball hitter is going to find more success with the LS. But overall, I think both of them were really easy to hit. I was surprised at how forgiving the LS was because, like I said, I've hit the Sub-Zeros and some of the other more players fairways from Callaway before, and they typically have been a little more demanding, and this lets you get away with some shots. So I know it's kind of like a weird ramble that went nowhere, but the 3-woods, like I said, between the Max and this, it'd be hard for me to, right now, it's tough. I'd really like to, the Max is probably more for my game and what I need, but the LS definitely has me intrigued, especially if you went something with, like this just had the stock, Tensei AV blue, and the Max had this actually the same shaft. So it was, apples to apples, and they were, listen, the Max goes up. I think either one of them, for something like me, with like putting like a Ventus Red in or something like that, would be an interesting concept. Maybe a little lower spinning even, while still keeping that launch up there. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, right now, I'd probably still put the Max in the bag just because I know I can get away with some shots that this one I may not be able to get away with. But I think distance-wise, again, I think off-center ball speed is really good, and both of them being fairly low spin for even shots that aren't caught dead center, and idiots like me hitting down on it so hard. I think the spin is definitely under control, and like I said, they stay on line great. So overall, pretty impressive the 3-woods. Again, and I think you guys know if you've listened to the show at all, I've been in a 3-wood kind of hunt for couple of years now. I haven't found anything that I've loved. I had an XR16 that I absolutely loved, and after that got replaced, and I just have gone through a bunch of 3-woods and haven't found anything that I'm like, wow, that's staying in the bag for a year or two. So we'll see. Maybe something here, with a shaft change. Maybe I'll find something that works really well. But I want to hit these again. Kind of day where I can actually get some swings and actually hit it well, and then I'll definitely be trying the stealth stuff as well. But like I said, I do have to say I'm pretty impressed with the Rogue ST and how well they worked for a guy who was hitting the ball like absolute poop. So those rings are great there. Those are all the Rogue STs I hit. So just those 3 on the range, and then I had a bunch of other stuff in the bag, a couple other shafts and other things I ended up not using. But I had a couple other just things that I wanted to try and put in there. One of which was, I know I told you guys the new Mizuno Fly High that was out, that I took out and played it a few weeks ago, something like that. Oh, probably like a month ago. But I reshafted it, so I put a Fujikura Pro 95 in there, which is a little higher launching shaft than the RDX Smoke Black from Project X that was in there. Definitely more success with this. It was much easier to hit. Weight-wise, I think it was about the same. I think that the RDX Black was a 90 gram anyway. But this here, just a little higher launching. This is kind of like that mid-high ball flight, and it definitely was just easier to launch, easier to get in the air. And I was kind of hitting this against the P7 or the TaylorMade P770. Oh boy, hitting that against the P770. 4-iron, and this thing here definitely a little easier to launch, a little more ball speed, and I think I definitely found a little better combination there. So I'm gonna get this on the course early next week, try it this way, so I'm gonna hopefully hit some shots off the tee and some other things, play it kind of like how I play it normally, and we'll see if that makes it in the bag. But like I said, this combination we liked it a lot more than the RDX Black, and I think it's just adding a little launch to it, making it a little higher flying. definitely found a bigger improvement there. So did that. Reshafted my P770s with some Nippon Modus 125s, and hit them well. But I think I'm starting to trend towards a little lighter weight shafts. I think even in my irons, 125 grams or whatever they are, uncut. They're a lot, and I think recently I've hit. I was hitting the Cobra King Tour MIMs with Pro 115s. I've hit some other stuff with a little bit of lighter steel. And I think, I guess maybe I just need to work out more, but I think the little lighter shafts I'm kind of like the feel of a little bit. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go, I might take those, I don't know what irons I'm taking out to this week. I'm going out to another launch event. I'm leaving Saturday, playing Sunday, and then, Monday as well, doing some stuff. So I'll be out in warm weather out in Palm Springs. And, excuse me. I might be hitting up a day at the American Express, which would be kind of cool. But I'll at least play some little golf and see how some things perform. Don't know what I'm bringing yet. The bag's sitting over there, and it really only has the UW, the Callaway Apex UW in there, and my Bettinardi putter. And that's it at the moment. I don't know what wedges I'm bringing yet. So I've still got to put the bag together, and I leave Saturday morning super early, so I don't have a whole lot of time to to decide. But I got to put a bag together to go play. But this 4-iron will probably go in there. I'll go put that in the bag after I'm done recording here. But yeah, I'll go play and hit some more stuff. And I don't know what driver I'm going to take. Like I said, the Stealth's here, the Rogue ST's here. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what I'm going to play. So we'll bring, and I'm unfortunately not playing enough to bring 2 drivers, and I also don't want to put 2 brand new drivers in a bag, and then if the airlines loses them, whatever, I don't want to be in that situation. So I'm only bringing 1. So we'll see how that goes. But again, hopefully you guys have a good week. Have a good weekend. If you can play, go play some golf. Like I said, I'm going to this weekend, which is nice, and then I'll be back to snowy and cold at the end of next week. But again, hopefully you guys have a good weekend. Like I said, play some golf. If you want to follow me on Instagram, at ClubJunkiePod. I thank you all for your questions. I try to do a Q&A thing every Wednesday or Thursday. I did it yesterday, and it was great. I love getting a lot of questions and people asking about the new products and stuff like that. So it's super fun. If you want to follow along, like I said, at ClubJunkiePod. And yeah, that's all I've got this week. Again, have a good one, and we'll see you next Thursday.